Listen, we all knew what the Flyers were going into the season, correct? But when you get outscored 9-2 in two straight home games, back to back on matinee games, marquee matchup, NHL Network televised games, it's kind of hard to pull something positive out of that. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Clear the Ice, the most in your face, keeping the faith Philadelphia Flyer postgame show here on the Edge of Philly Sports Network with your boy Matty B. And yeah, 5-1 today. 5-1 today as the Flyers go down in their latest debacle, I guess is the word that we're going to use. But again, I say keep the faith because that's what we got to do. We got to understand what this team is. We got to understand what this season is. Yeah, we were feeling really good about the Flyers coming out of the gate. Things have leveled off. Things have gone back down to reality, not necessarily falling back down to earth, but back down to reality. The Flyers are a flawed team, and we've known that. We've also spoken many times on this program about having to play almost a perfect game every time out to kind of give yourself a chance to win. But when the Flyers go out today and yet again outshoot their opponents today 38-31 for the third straight game, but yet somehow lose this thing 5-1, where do you kind of look at? Where do you point to? Where do you start to kind of dissect that? And you don't have to look any further than between the pipes, in my opinion, today. Felix Sandstrom is lost right now. He's a young goalie who's going to have to go through this type of stuff in order to kind of get better. But right now, they're not doing anything to help this kid out. He's been bad in his time between the pipes for the Flyers today. And again, the team in front of him not doing their best to do what they need to do for the goalie. But when you outshoot your opponents 30, when you pepper your opponents 38-31, you gotta expect more from your goalie than 5 goals. And that's what the Flyers got today from Sandstrom. And just another one of those frustrating games. And we're gonna take a look at this thing a little bit more deeper. So bear with me. Steven, welcome back. Already exceeded my win expectations for the year. Come on, man. Listen, I got that. All right. But again, we got to keep perspective. And I know it's easy for me to say this in November. And I know it's easy for me to but I'm feeling the frustration too. They're not a 7-win team. Come on, Steven. Now that's a little bit ridiculous, but they may not be that far off a 7-win team. But they're finding new ways every night to go out there and just disappoint and be frustrating. And when you get outscored 9-2 over 2 games at home, you got to take a hard look in the mirror at yourself because that's just really bad. So I feel your pain, man. Joseph checking in from Florida. Hey, man, welcome to the show. Don't forget there, Joseph, like and subscribe. Everything here on the Edge of Philly Sports. Not just me, but there's a whole other bunch of stuff going on out there. So make sure you check in to Edge of Philly Sports and like and subscribe us so you can check out Clear the Ice all season long because I'm not going away. I'm going to be back here every game, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to get through this season together, all right? That's how we're going to do it. Too much up and down. Game one night that they play Drake next to play wait for listen. There's some positives. There's some positives that you're taking from these games, and I don't have to look any further than the last 3 games where they've outshot their opponents. I mean, they're working their way back into that. They're actually able to generate some offense right now. They just don't have finishers on this team. They don't have those types of players. That they're not going to get. 3 goals a night is pretty much the ceiling for this team offensively right now. That's just the way they're built, for good or for bad, or for indifferent, for up or down or sideways. You got to get better play from your goalie. You got to get better play from your special teams. Come on, man. They gave up a shorthanded goal in this game. They were 0 for 6 on their power play. What has happened, man? They were doing well on the power play. They were doing a lot better than they were last year, but now they're down to 8 for 50 on the season. It's down to 16%, and then they give up that shorthanded goal. So you look at special teams. You look at the goalie today, and you don't got to look any further than that. Dallas is a good hockey team. You got to come with your A game. You got to come with your A game against the Stars. And for the Flyers, a team like the Flyers, you got to come with your A game every single game. And then at the end of the game with that 5-on-3, what lifeless power play was that when you got a 5-on-3, you have an opportunity. I'm not saying they're going to come back and win this thing, but at least make it a little bit more interesting. You get two early goals. You get two, quick goals. Maybe it's 5-3 with a minute to go, and it makes this thing a little bit more interesting and fun. But you got to get better. You need better energy from the team, and this is a John Tortorella hockey club. This is a team that we expected to fight to the finish, and we didn't get that fight today from the Flyers. We didn't. They quit a little bit there in the third period. I think after that early shorthanded goal early in the third, I think that was it. I think they threw the white flag on they rolled it out onto the ice and said, you know what? Yeah, we're done. So a very disappointing loss today by the Flyers. Is reality setting in, Matty B? I don't know if you're asking if my reality is setting in, Al, or is the reality of this team setting in. I'm gonna answer both questions right now. The reality of for me is already set in. I didn't have much expectations other than potentially going after that number one draft pick this summer. As far as the team, the reality is it is what it is. This is an 82 game season. They caught lightning in the bottle a little bit early on in the season, and a lot of teams are that way. They got off to a great start. They might have taken some teams by surprise. Carter Hart was playing above his head, kind of like it was last year. Now all of a sudden we're getting injuries, and things are kind of leveling off. Carter Hart has kind of leveled off. The goaltending over the last week has been atrocious, in my opinion, for this hockey team. The goaltending, to include Carter Hart, has not been good, and that's a big reason why this team is struggling the way they are right now too. But as far as the team reality is, it's setting in. This is what they are. This is what the Flyers are. And we mentioned this again over and over on this program. Some nights they're going to have enough to get over that hump. Some nights they're not going to have enough to get over the hump. And some nights they're going to come out like this. And it's those types of games that you want to stay away from. Now we're working on that 3-game losing streak. And I know, I don't know about you out there, but I'm having visions of that 2 10-game losing streaks and a 13-game losing streak last year, starting to get those vibes again. Got to stay away from that. We got to get out there and get a win on Tuesday against Columbus. We got to find a way to kind of get this thing, stop the bleeding, so to speak. We got to get back in the win column. We cannot go through another death roll 10-game losing streak. We can't do that. That can't happen here. So reality is here. But this is what, again, and I hope people out there expect that. And I listen to all the fine programming here on EOP. And this morning I was listening to the PM and the AM show at 9:00, and they were talking a little bit about the Flyers. And it was some nonsense, or not nonsense, but a Johnny Gaudreau thing about how he went out there against the Flyers this week and really put it to him. Yeah, he did, and he benefited from Travis Konecny's boneheaded play that night as well. But again, the issue of why isn't Johnny Hockey part of this hockey team right now? Okay, what would Johnny Hockey do with this group? Honestly, we lose 5-2 today. We lose 5-3 today. Johnny Hockey can't play goalie. Johnny Hockey can't be out there on every power play. He can't kill all the penalties. This is a team issue, not a lacking of a superstar. Yeah, we're lacking superstars. We don't have any of those on this team. I got that, and we got to address that at one point. But this is not the point to address that. There's so much uncertainty about this team right now. These young players are getting an opportunity to kind of figure out whether or not they're part of the future or part of the past. They also referenced the fact that this is like year 2 of the process for the Sixers. I totally disagree with that. This is not year 2 of the Sixers process. The Flyers, as an organization, mismanaged player development. Well, we've heard that from a Philadelphia sports team before. They mismanaged player development. They were holding on to visions of playoff glory, trying to make deep runs in the Stanley Cup, and they kept a lot of people back. They held a lot of people back, right? We've also not drafted well. And now here we are in 2022 trying to find out what we have in the organization. So it's not a matter of just plugging and playing Joe Schmo and Jim Schmo. It's not that. It's trying to find out something that we don't know and that we failed over the last 3 to 4 years is evaluating our talent within the system. So now these kids are getting an opportunity to be that talent or to find out if they are that talent. So to me, it has nothing to do with any kind of the process situation here. It's the team figuring out where they stand. It's going back and trying to make up for some lost time, and they can't do that. Time is moving forward, and we got to find out what this team is all about. And this is the type of season it's going to be. This is the type of games we're going to see from time to time. A team that lacks serious superstar power, serious talent, a lot of heart, but just not enough. And these are the games that we're going to see from the Flyers today. But you know what? You got to kind of stay out of these games. 9-2 outscored over the weekend here. It's just you can't have that, man. You can't have it. Stevens is not sure what Hart can do to gain confidence at this point, but he has always given up head scratchers. He has, Steven. And again, I want to preface this as well. I'm not blaming Carter Hart for any of this. I'm not sitting here saying he's part of the that he's the issue here. He's part of the problem, of course, but so is the other 25 of them. They're all part of the problem. But again, I shake my head about the Carter Hart thing because over the summer, when you mentioned trying to trade Carter Hart, it was almost like I was talking about the downfall of democracy. All right. He has this stigma around him that he's untouchable. The hell he's untouchable. I maintain this, that Carter Hart would do more for this team if we traded him right now than he would for this team on this team. And you know what I mean? I think what we could do is set ourselves up for the future because we're not a goaltender away anymore. Yeah, we have a goalie. It's like having a closer in baseball. If you have like an elite closer, guess what? And you have a crap team, I don't care. That closer is going to go to waste because he's not going to get many opportunities to close. It's almost like the situation with the Flyers. But we're so afraid to get rid of a goalie because of that 30-year stigma that we can't find goalies. So we're gonna sit there and be like, no, Carter Hart's all ours. We got to keep hold of him. No, man, he should be on the table just like everybody else should be to try to get this team to improve. And I'm going to die on that hill. I'm not saying Carter Hart. I'm not saying trade him. I'm just saying get off of this, this attitude that he's untouchable. He is not untouchable. Carter Hart is not untouchable. None of these players are, and it needs to be addressed as we move forward. And something I don't know. I don't know what you do there. Disappointed that Ratliff never developed. I thought he would be a good power play weapon. Just hasn't worked out. No, he hasn't worked out. Big, tall, lanky kid. Just doesn't seem to have that extra oomph, so to speak, to kind of break free of the AHL and be a significant NHL player. Again, you want to go back to the Hextall drafting and all that, and Isaac Ratliff is part of that. But I definitely expect to see him at one point here in Philadelphia. I think he will be. Because again, we got to find out where exactly we stand with the Isaac Ratliffs, the Morgan Frost, the players of that ilk. We got to find out moving forward. So you're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to see that. And God knows, with the way the players are dropping, they may have no other choice but to bring him back. So I agree, though, Stephen. He's just another part of that whole disappointment package that we talk about. And I was reading a lot about on social media, and I'm going to get back to the game here in a second, about the Risto and Sanheim contracts. I was prepared to give Chuck Fletcher kind of not a mulligan and not a pass, but to kind of be patient with him this season because of the situation with this team and going into it and making that realization, that hard realization that we are not a good team, or we don't know what kind of team we are. So we're going to go a certain direction in order to kind of find out what we are. I was kind of accepting that. But then when he handed out that contract to Sanheim, I just don't understand. An 8-year deal for a player that's not more than a number 3 defenseman. And I hell, he may even on some teams be that extra D guy. He may not even dress every night on some teams. But yet we gave him this gaudy 8-year contract, money that could have been used next season in free agency to pursue players like Patrick Kane or Jonathan Towles or, the guy out of St. Louis. Players like that we could go and pursue and potentially have them, get that superstar and pair them up with a young Connor Bednard. I just don't understand that money investment. I don't, and that's that's concerning me a little bit about. I'm back on that Chuck Fletcher, fire watch party, so to speak. So back to this game, folks. Let's get back into the Flyers. 5-1 at the center this afternoon. Flyers now fall to 7-6-2 on the season. Things were just not going well for the team from the very beginning. They were never really in this game. Bad goaltending and just a lot of other things going on. Let's talk about the scoring summary and how it all did happen down there at the center. Matej Blumel with his first goal of the season, assist from Tyler Seguin and Essa Lindell at the 2:36 mark of the first period, 1-0 Dallas. And then Essa Lindell with the goal at the 18:24 mark from Jason Robertson and Joe Pavelski to make it 2-0. Is it just me, folks? Are the Flyers giving up a over amount of late period goals? And I mean, that around that 2-minute mark. They've given up a few of them this year that I've noticed, and that's also not a good trend. The Flyers would get things going in the right way early on in the second. At the 54-second mark, Travis Konecny finally gets back on that goal-scoring column. The assist from Kevin Hayes and Owen Tippett, 2-1 Flyers, or 2-1 Dallas. And then it was all Dallas all the time. 9:06, Joe Pavelski, his 8th on the power play. And then the dagger in the heart at the 57-second mark of the third period. Luke Glendening with the shorthanded goal, his second of the year from Dellandrea and Lindell. And then Jason Robertson adds a power play goal late in the game, or around the midway point of the third period, his 10th from Joe Pavelski and Hurwitz. And that's how you get 5-1. Once again, the Flyer special teams coming up majorly small today as they gave up the shorthanded goal. They were 0 for 6 on their own power play. And as I mentioned, now falling to 8 for 50 on the season on the power play. That's good for a 16% efficiency rate. They also outshot the Dallas Stars today, 38-31, then closing that gap a little bit. Now 436 shots for against 516. Third straight game that the Flyers have outshot their opponents, but the third straight game that the Flyers have also lost. So take that for any which way you want to take it. So there you go, 5-1 Flyers, or 5-1 Dallas. Owen Tippett, at least a pleasant surprise. Yeah, he is. And I've had an opportunity to talk to some younger players. I remember when they traded for him last year. Talked to some young guys up in the AHL about Owen Tippett, guys that played with him in juniors and actually in youth hockey, and said that, yeah, he is a really good player. The Flyers definitely did get something out of that, obviously, in the Claude Giroux move, as well as that draft pick is going to help out too. So, no, I agree. Owen Tippett is definitely part of the future here. I definitely agree. Al said the shorthander killed me. It killed me as well. And I think it killed the Flyers today. I honestly do. Honestly, straight shoved a dagger in a heart. Yeah. So for the week ahead, the Flyers now will be off tomorrow. They will get things going back in Columbus on Tuesday, which is a weird, less than a week, 2 straight road games in Columbus. They will also have road games in Boston on Thursday and in Montreal. So a complete road warrior type week. The Flyers will play all their games on the road this week. Columbus, Boston, and Montreal. They will not return back to South Philly until Monday the 21st against Calgary. So a daunting task, again, facing the Flyers as we move into this week, as now they'll have to go on the road to play 3 or at least 2 decent Eastern Conference teams and the Blue Jackets, who, of course, they could not figure out last week. So your guess is as good as mine, folks. Sean says 10-game losing streak on deck. Yeah, Sean, I said this earlier in the show. I'm feeling that vibe too, and I don't want to feel that. Those things are just showstoppers, right? They're game changers. We can't have them. We had 2 10ers and a 13 game losing streak last year. Obviously, way too much. You never want to go through 1 10-game losing streak, let alone 2 of them and a 13-game losing streak. But this has all the signs and is trending all the way towards that as well. It is very key, in my opinion, that the Flyers come out here on Tuesday in Columbus and get back on that win. They got to get a win. They got to find a way to get a win to kind of get them just out of the funk and get them moving in the right direction and turn off the 10-game losing streak vibes. I agree, though. It's definitely feeling that way to me, too. It's time of the show, though, folks. We got to do some pleasantry, right? We're going to check in on our boy, Connor Bednar. That's right. This is the Connor Bednar check-in portion of the Clear the Ice, the Flyer postgame show. The young man from the Regina Pats of the Western Hockey League, playing out there in major junior hockey in Canada. So far for Connor, as he is the consensus #1 overall pick heading into next year's NHL draft, a generational talent, I've been told. So far, 19 games played for Connor this season, 17 goals, 24 assists for 41 points. He's got 30 penalty minutes and a +11 on the plus and minus side of things. Again, trending in that right way as the Connor Bednar sweepstakes continues here around the National Hockey League for those teams that are looking to maybe turn their fortunes around in one season. Flyers, of course, are part of that group. Folks, it's going to wrap me up tonight. There's not much to really kind of get into a 5-1 loss. We can sum it up in a couple of different reasons. We're not getting good goaltending, especially from the backup. Felix Sandstrom looks lost between the pipes. And the special teams absolutely killed us today. 0 for 6 on our own power play. We gave up a shorthanded goal. We gave up two power play goals and a shorthanded goal? Let me just check that real quick, as just special teams was abomination today. Dallas scored 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal as well. So do the math. 3 of the 5 goals that the Stars scored were on their special teams and on the Flyers special teams. So special teams an absolute abomination today. Goaltending an absolute abomination. And that's what happens when you are a team that's like the Flyers. You need to play a perfect game. And that means not giving up 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal. So 5-1, 7-6-2 now on the season. We will be back on Tuesday night, and we'll talk to you after the Columbus Blue Jacket game. But remember, let's kind of pay some bills here on the Edge of Philly Sports. We've made it to the end of another week, or we've made it to the start of another new week, depending on what side of the coin you come out on. This morning, as I mentioned, the Devereaux PM and the AM show was on at 9. You got me clearing the ice here, and then all across all the time with the lacrosse guys tonight at 9 o'clock, and then Sixers and Jazz post game following the Sixers and Jazz game. So make sure you're staying tuned. We got you covered, even though the Eagles are not playing. We got you covered, man. Of course, the Eagles are playing tomorrow night. The only bar in Delco you need to know about or ever need to go to is this one right here, Dolan's Bar. They're in Ridley Park, the town with the red police cars. If you see red police cars in Delco, you're in the right spot. So make sure you head over to Delco, or the Dolan's, sorry. Philly Sports Trips, what can I say about these guys? Well, I can tell you that the Indianapolis trip and the New York trip are both sold out. So if you're looking to get on the on those 2 trips, I'm not saying don't check them out. I'm sure Vince might work with you, but right now they're sold out. So that tells you the degree of popularity that these trips are. You need to kind of act quick. I'm looking at that Dallas game on Christmas Eve. If you're a single guy, or if you want to be a single guy, just you go ahead and check out that Dallas Cowboy game on the road with Philly Sports Trips on Christmas Eve. There's more going on. You got Flyer stuff. You got Sixer stuff. You got the Phillies spring training in Clearwater. You got all that stuff that's already out there. Head over to phillysportstrips.com. Check out all the great things they have to offer. And don't forget the tailgate party at the Gatehouse, a.k.a. the Navy Yard, on every home game, which, of course, is tomorrow night. So make sure you check out how you want to get involved in that. And if things are going great and life is just churning along, but then all of a sudden you wake up and boy, you know what? You got some issues, and it's involving workman's comp, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, then Dave Cherry's the guy you need to give a call, 610-565-0300. Tell him that Matty B, the Clear the Ice crew, and the Edge of Philly Sports sent you, and he'll take good care of you. Folks, that's it. I'm done. That's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm not coming off the hill. I'm not going to die. I'll die on that hill. We got to hang in there. We got to keep the faith. And we got to try to pull some positives out of everything we see. Today was a hard one to pull some positives out of, but we got to try. This is a long season, and we're in it together, and we're going to do the best we can to support the Philadelphia Flyers. So until we talk again on Tuesday night in Columbus or after the Columbus game, what can I say, man? Let's go Flyers.